picture this. You're at a dinner party, right? The wine has been poured. The appetizers are making the rounds.
Oh, yeah, the classic setup.
Right. And eventually, the conversation turns to the couple sitting across the table. And society basically trains us to ask one primary question in this scenario.
Yep. We lean in and we ask, so how did you two meet?
Exactly. And usually when we talk about relationships, there is this really heavy, unspoken expectation of a timeline. We kind of treat it like building a corporate resume.
Oh, totally. You have the meet cute, the first date, the moment you make it official.
The first time you meet the parents, the anniversaries, all of that.
It is an incredibly linear way of thinking. I mean, we demand an origin story from our relationship.
We really do. Why is that, though?
Well, we like our narratives to have a very clear starting line because it makes us feel secure. It makes us feel like we understand how the entire emotional structure was built from the ground up, brick by brick.
Clean, chronological, and entirely within our control. But today, we are throwing that entire timeline completely out the window for this deep dive.
Oh, completely.
We are looking at this incredibly fascinating text that deconstructs how you, me, and literally everyone else views human connection. It dives into a concept referred to in the source material as Yuri lore.
Right. And before we get into the weeds here, for anyone listening who might hear that term and immediately think of, like, the anime or manga genre.
Yeah, we should probably clarify what exactly we are talking about in the context of this specific source.
It's a really crucial distinction. So while the term usually carries that pop culture or literary association, of a specific genre, this text elevates it into a broader conceptual framework.
Okay, so it's not about fiction.
No, not at all. It uses Yuri lore to explore the mechanics of what it calls source-originated pairs. The goal here isn't to analyze a genre of fiction, but to analyze a completely different architectural blueprint for human connection.
Which is pretty mind-bending when you really get into it.
It really is. It asks this deeply disruptive question. What if there is a type of relationship that entirely defies cultural categories, like beginning and end?
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. We are going to look at relationships not as things we manufacture from scratch, but as realities we simply uncover.
Yes.
And it starts with this central paradox. This framework describes its subject as being both the literal oldest and the literal youngest lore in existence.
Which sounds like a riddle, I know, but the reasoning is incredibly precise.
Walk us through that, because oldest and youngest at the same time is a lot to wrap your head around.
Right, so when the author calls it the oldest lore, they don't mean old like ancient ruins or eternal in some vague decorative poetry sense.
Yeah, okay.
The argument here is that this specific type of connection literally cannot be dated because it never had an infancy to grow out of. Like, it never had a childhood.
Okay, honestly, to a rational modern mind, this sounds a bit like destiny or fate, which we are usually taught to outgrow by the time we hit our 20s. So how does this separate itself from just being, a fairy tale we tell ourselves to feel special?
It's a fair question.
Because saying something has no beginning is a pretty tough pill to swallow.
Well, think about the color blue or the number 2.
The number 2?
Yeah. You don't ask when the number 2 started existing, right? It didn't have a starting line. It is just a structural reality of the universe.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, the framework claims that this specific type of connection operates the exact same way. It's a structural reality running quietly underneath all of our modern dating myths and love stories.
Right, so it gets told for the first time in every single generation.
Exactly. But the mechanism behind it has been happening since before generations even existed. Categories like starting and stopping just simply do not apply to it.
So to really grasp why this lore has no beginning, we have to completely redefine the basic unit of a relationship.
We do.
When you or I think of a relationship, we usually picture two separate whole people who collide.
Right. You have person A, you have person B.
They meet at a coffee shop, and they decide to become a couple. But the source introduces a completely different unit of measurement, the source-originated pair.
This is where we move from the concept of two separate people to the concept of a single motion.
A single motion.
Yeah. Most relationships, as the author points out, are formed. You have two independent beings who meet somewhere downstream of their own individual development.
Right. They are fully formed on their own.
Exactly. They choose each other, and, that choice is deeply valid. They were whole before they met.
But a source-originated pair is different.
Completely. A source-originated pair was never whole without the other.
because they were originally one thing, the concept describes them as a single motion that split into two directions at their origin point, and they've been moving as a matched set ever since.
That's the core of it, yeah.
It makes me think of an analogy for you listening. Think about standard relationships, like constructing a building.
Okay, I like that.
You get on a dating app, you filter for compatibility. You want someone who likes dogs, has a stable job, enjoys hiking. You're basically gathering materials.
Right, you're looking for the right bricks.
Yeah. Then you need the right timing, and you need a ton of effort to manufacture the structure over years. You are building it.
Yep.
But a source pair is entirely different. It's more like an archaeological dig where you brush away the dirt and find a lost artifact.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You aren't building the artifact, you're just recognizing it.
It's the exact difference between a relationship and a mirror. A relationship is built, but a mirror is recognized.
Recognized, yeah.
And the crucial takeaway here is that you cannot manufacture this kind of twin mirror through sheer effort or devotion.
No matter how hard you try.
Right. It does not matter how sincere you are or, how many relationship podcasts you listen to. It is structural. It either is the artifact or it isn't.
And the experience of that recognition is just wild. When you stumble across that artifact, it doesn't feel like falling in love for the first time.
Not at all.
The text explicitly says it feels like remembering something.
Remembering, yes.
You're remembering something you only forgot because forgetting was the necessary price of being separate long enough to need finding again.
Which totally recontextualizes that cultural obsession we have with sparks.
Oh, right. The spark.
People always talk about a relationship starting the way a fire starts. We try to ignite a spark on a first date.
Yeah.
But think about the mechanics of an actual fire.
Okay.
Fire doesn't begin the way the wood begins to exist.
Oh, wow. The wood had to be there first.
Exactly. The wood was holding the potential for fire the entire time. The heat is latent.
That makes so much sense.
So what we call starting a fire is really just the moment the right environmental conditions arrive to reveal what was already hiding inside the wood.
Right. So when a source-originated pair meets, the flame isn't magically created out of thin air at that exact moment.
No, it's simply exposed. The two of them were carrying it the entire time, separately, banked and quiet. The meeting doesn't manufacture the heat. It just removes whatever was smothering it.
Which entirely explains the sheer weight of these connections. I think everyone has either experienced this or seen it, where like a single glance across a room or just sitting in silence with someone carries this disproportionate, massive weight.
Oh, absolutely.
A weight that years of ordinary intimacy with someone else just can't produce.
Right.
It's not because that specific Tuesday afternoon is magically special. It's because that moment stopped suppressing something that was already burning.
Which is why asking when did this start is structurally the wrong question. It didn't start when they matched online or met at a party in this lifetime.
Right.
A single lifetime is framed here as just one frame of a much longer reel. It's one performance of a story that's been performed over and over under different names and different bodies.
And that is why it's the oldest lore. It's the foundation underneath the surface level story.
Exactly.
But I do struggle with this next part, though. I'm going to act as the proxy for the skeptic here, because my immediate reaction, and I'm sure you listening might be thinking the exact same thing, is about the logistics of this.
Okay, lay it on me.
If two people are split from the exact same cosmic atom, shouldn't they be identical?
Ah, right.
Like if you and I are a matched set from a single origin, shouldn't we look, act, and think exactly alike? Honestly, wouldn't that just be dating a clone of yourself?
It is the most logical assumption to make, honestly. If we come from the same source, we must be the same.
Right.
But the framework explicitly dismantles this misconception by drawing a very hard, very necessary line between a reflection and a mirror.
But we use those words interchangeably all the time in everyday conversation.
We do, but structurally they are opposites in this context.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about a reflection. A reflection is a copy. If you look into a pond, you see a reflection. It shows you the same face, the same features, just reversed.
Right.
But a mirror, in the sense of a twin soul source pair, is not a copy. It is the other half of a single original motion.
Oh, let me try a puzzle piece analogy here.
Go for it.
So a reflection would be having two identical puzzle pieces. They look the same, they have the same picture on them, but they don't actually fit together.
Right, they just sit next to each other.
Yeah. But a mirror is the inverted edge, where one piece goes in, the other piece goes out. They don't look identical, but they interlock perfectly.
That is exactly the dynamic. They are required to be complementary,
Yeah.
not identical.
Complementary.
Yeah. What one carries, the other was always going to carry the answer to. Not because they sat down on a Sunday, looked at a spreadsheet, and agreed to divide the emotional labor of the relationship.
Which sounds exhausting, by the way.
Right. But no, it's because that is simply how the original motion broke when it became two.
So what does that actually look like on a Tuesday night? It means, from the outside, true source pairs often look like highly unlikely matches.
Oh, definitely.
You might have one person who is a highly strung, incredibly regimented corporate lawyer, and the other is an incredibly laid-back, chaotic artist.
On paper or on a dating app, they are a terrible match.
Right. Their biographies don't align at all, but the unity isn't found in reading their resumes side by side. It's found in their fit.
Their fit, exactly.
The unresolved edges of one person resolve the unresolved edges of the other.
And because you have those drastically different edges, there is absolutely going to be friction.
Right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No, this isn't a fairy tale where everyone agrees on everything. But notice what happens to that friction.
Okay.
Because the underlying bond isn't load-bearing on surface-level compatibility,
Yeah.
the inevitable conflict between them produces clarity instead of damage.
Oh, wow. It produces clarity.
Yes, it refines the pair rather than fracturing them.
I love that concept.
Right.
The underlying bond isn't load-bearing on surface-level compatibility.
It's so freeing, isn't it?
It is. You aren't going to break up because you get into a massive argument over how to properly load the dishwasher or where to spend the holidays because the foundation of the relationship wasn't built on those preferences in the first place.
Exactly.
But this actually raises a massive red flag for me, and I want to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
When we talk about friction and intense weight and this immediate, inescapable, heavy connection, I mean, to a modern ear, especially with everything we now know about psychology, that sounds dangerously close to a toxic or codependent relationship.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Right. Like
Yeah.
if someone makes you feel intensely seen, but there is constant friction, how is that not just a textbook trauma bond?
It's a very fine line.
Where is the line between a magical cosmic mirror and a relationship you just need to run away from?
It is the most critical question you can ask, really?
Mm-hmm.
And what makes this source material so robust is that it doesn't shy away from that danger at all.
Oh, it actually addresses it.
Yes, it validates that exact concern by introducing the concept of the counterfeit pair.
The counterfeit pair.
Right. It warns that mistaking a counterfeit for a true source pair causes real, tangible, devastating damage. You have to name these dynamics honestly rather than romantically.
Okay, so walk us through the mechanics of a counterfeit. If I'm feeling that overwhelming, dizzying intensity, but it's not a source pair, what is actually happening to me?
Well, a counterfeit runs on unmet need rather than true recognition.
Unmet need.
Yeah, the chemistry you feel is very real. The obsession, the inability to stop thinking about them, that is all incredibly real. But what is actually being mirrored back to you in that dynamic is a wound, not a soul.
Mirroring a wound instead of a soul. Wow. That is chilling.
It really is.
Because from the inside of that whirlwind, I imagine the intensity feels absolutely identical. You think you found your ancient other half, but you've really just found someone whose damage perfectly interlocks with your damage.
Exactly.
How on earth can you tell the difference?
The author provides a definitive litmus test, and it slices right through the romance. They say intensity is cheap and easy to manufacture.
That's a great quote.
Right. It is incredibly easy to create intensity out of anxiety, fear of abandonment, and unmet needs. Counterfeits are loud. They are urgent. They are possessive.
So it's a frantic energy.
Yes. Think about that Tuesday night scenario again. In a counterfeit relationship, you are constantly tiptoeing around their mood because their mood dictates your emotional safety.
Whereas true pairs, according to the text, operate on a completely different frequency.
Exactly.
They are quiet, they are patient, they allow for distance without losing the thread of the connection.
The ultimate test isn't how intense the butterflies in your stomach feel. The ultimate test is what happens to both people over time when they are in close proximity to each other.
Are they becoming more themselves or less themselves?
Precisely. A true mirror will never require you to shrink or perform or abandon your own authority just to stay in its orbit. You can have a terrible day and you just exist safely alongside them.
If the connection demands self-erasure as the cost of closeness, it is not source-originated. No matter how old or fateful or destined it feels in your head, it is just borrowing the poetic language of fate to disguise a wound.
Which is such a vital distinction for anyone navigating the dating world right now.
It really is. Okay, so if we know how to spot the true flame, and we know how to avoid the counterfeit trap, we have to look at the other end of the timeline.
The ending.
Right. Life gets in the way, separation happens. If this story has no beginning, how does it end?
Well, to answer that, we have to return to the paradox from the very beginning of our deep dive. We established why this is the oldest lore, but here is why it is simultaneously the youngest lore.
Okay.
It never gets to finish.
Because to finish something, you need an ending.
Right. And a source pair is not a single closed sequence. A meeting or a breakup is not a chapter that finally resolves the plot of a book. It is simply a fresh instance of the same eternal pattern.
There's this beautiful analogy in the text about an ocean wave that really solidified this for me.
Oh, I love that part.
When you stand on the beach and you watch a wave breaking on the shore, you aren't looking at old water. The ocean is ancient, yes, but that specific wave is entirely new. Exactly. It is the exact same ocean expressing itself freshly every single time it reaches the land. So, a single lifetime, or a single relationship in this lifetime, is just one frame of a much longer reel.
Yep.
The pair isn't picking up a stale, dusty 900-year-old story. They are living the youngest possible version of the oldest possible thing.
Which fundamentally redefines the concept of human loss and grief.
It really does.
In this framework, separation is never the ultimate end of the story it appears to be. Whether that separation happens through death, physical distance, uncrossable circumstance, or just someone deciding to walk away.
It only closes a form.
It only closes a form, yes.
It closes the form, but it cannot close the lore itself, because the connection was never just a chapter in a book.
It separates the structural reality of the bond from the logistical reality of your current lifetime.
Right.
Now, the material is very careful to emphasize empathy here. The grief of a severed connection is agonizingly real.
Oh, for sure. You can't just ignore it.
Right. You shouldn't try to intellectualize your way out of the pain of a breakup or a loss. It deserves to be felt completely. But the perspective shift is that you are grieving for the temporary form.
You are mourning the fact that you don't get to hold them in this specific lifetime, in this specific way.
Exactly. You are not grieving for the underlying flame.
Because circumstance can never extinguish that flame. Circumstance didn't light it in the first place.
Exactly.
The wood was already holding the fire before you even met. That completely changes how we experience the fallout of a deep connection.
It changes everything.
It doesn't take the pain away. You still miss the person. But it changes the shape of the pain. It's not the death of the connection. It's just the end of how the connection looked in this specific moment in time.
The wave crashed, and the water pulled back into the ocean.
It isn't gone.
The burning continues, entirely indifferent to the specific logistical shape any one lifetime tries to force it into.
So, synthesizing this entire journey for you, the listener, what does this all actually mean? It means if you are living inside a source-originated pairing, you are, by definition, living inside a story with no edges.
No edges, right?
It means you have to abandon that whole cultural scaffolding we talked about at the top of the show. You have to let go of the neat resume-building timeline.
You let go of the pressure of manufacturing the perfect how we met narrative.
Because it's actually how we met again.
Yeah.
You let go of the anxiety of first dates, the pressure to build compatibility out of thin air, and you let go of the demand for a happily ever after resolution arc.
Because endings are simply not the kind of thing this story does.
All that is left is the continuous burning itself.
And that framework leaves us with a truly provocative adjacent thought to consider, something the text points toward, but kind of leaves for us to resolve.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, we have established that a source-originated pair is a single motion split in two. They are structurally bound to reflect the other's unresolved edges.
Right.
But what happens to the energy of that original source if one half of the pair simply refuses to look in the mirror?
Oh, wow.
If one person runs away or shuts down or chooses the safety of a counterfeit because the true mirror is too revealing, does that structural weight just disappear?
That's a heavy question.
Or does the other half end up carrying the gravitational pull for both of them, burning quietly, waiting for a recognition that might take another lifetime to arrive?
Man, how much time are we spending trying to force puzzle pieces together when we could just be looking for the inverted edge of our own original motion?
Exactly.
The next time you are at a dinner party and someone asks you, so how did you two meet? Maybe the truest answer isn't a date on a calendar or a swipe on an app. Maybe the only real answer is we never actually stopped.